Today on this Jamesthebikeguy, we're checking out the highest end Trek Marlin ever made, or at least for the United States. That's right, we're checking out the Trek Marlin 8. And this thing is an absolute beauty and a pretty cool bike for somebody to get into riding. But you'll notice one thing that's a little bit different about this one. It's actually in a 27.5-inch wheel. So we're going to go into the features and designs of the Trek Marlin 8 for 2022, talk about the wheel size, where you might ride it, and things like that. And finally, we'll end off with exactly what it weighs. So if this kind of thing is interesting to you, stick around and hit subscribe so we can see more things like this together in the future. The Trek Marlin series is Trek's entry-level mountain bike. And by entry-level, these start all the way down at something called a Marlin 4, which is a true just getting into it mountain bike. And then they go up to this bike, which this is the top of the line Trek Marlin. So this is the Marlin 8. So they go from 4 all the way up to 8. And throughout that series, they're all going to be running in the same silver alpha aluminum. And the aluminum itself is going to be shaped and manipulated tubing. It's going to run internal cable routing, an 1.125" steer tube, and it's going to come in sizes double extra small all the way up to extra large. And that means that this bike's going to fit and work with a huge number of riders. Now, to also be able to make that work even better, they run something called smart wheel size. So as you can see on this bike, it's running a 27.5-inch wheel. Now, most of you may know that the Marlins typically come with a 29-inch wheel. And by running the smaller wheel size and then also adding in the swoop to the frame on that top tube, that allows them to fit this all the way from an extra small to a small 27.5-inch wheels in a curved top tube. Now they also then have the 29-inch wheeled version, which is sizes medium and on up. And those are going to come with 29-inch wheels, which tackles the need for the entry-level bike to be able to fit a wide variety of riders. And let's talk about the kind of terrain that something like this could go on. So the bike is really set up to be able to do neighborhood style of riding or light cross-country trails. And in fact, this Marlin 8 has some features to even extend the capability as well. Speaking about the frame and features of it, we should talk a bit about what we have going on. So that silver alpha aluminum attaches up with a 100mm suspension fork up front. So this is an 1.125" non-tapered front end, but it runs a RockShox Judy Silver. And the RockShox Judy Silver has 32mm stanchions to keep it nice and stiff. It's also all blacked out. And what's really neat about this is it's going to be air adjustable. So underneath this cap there's going to be an adjustment to be able to add and remove air based on your weight and riding style. While on the other side of the fork, you'll see that it's got an adjustable lockout. And essentially what this means is as you open it up, it's going to allow the front end to compress a little bit easier. And then you can flip that switch down and it's going to lock out the front end. So that gives you some great control over the front end of the bike. And the last piece of control is going to be in the rebound. Now you'll notice a quick release up front, and there's going to be a quick release on the back of the bike as well. So this is running traditional quick release 100mm up front and quick release 135mm in rear spacing. The last bits to talk about it are going to be a few different things here. With this being a size small, we're going to just have a water bottle mount on the down tube. The larger size bikes with the 29-inch wheels will get one on the seat tube as well as the down tube. But in the back of the bike, we are configured to be able to run racks, so you can get racks installed. It also has a spot on the other side to be able to put a direct mount kickstand. So if you're going to use this to be an awesome bike for a young one to take to school and ride to class, but also be able to do some NICA racing afterwards, well then this type of rig is the right one to choose. The drivetrain of the bike is one of the nicer spots on this rig because it's running SRAM's SX drivetrain. So SX is a 1x12 drivetrain, meaning one gear up front, and then you can see this massive range of gearing out back. And in fact, that SX drivetrain goes through an 11 to 50 tooth combination. So that's going to give a huge amount of spread in the back, only require the one ring up front to be able to control it. And then you'll see the derailleur itself is going to have a clutch mechanism on it, which is going to help keep the chain nice and tight, not going to rattle or make noise. Although if it does contact the chainstay, you can see they've got a rubber protector, and up front is the aluminum SX crankset with a 30 tooth narrow wide chainring. So by narrow wide, you can see the profile interlocks with the way that the chain goes onto the crankset. And then that's going to be a direct mount chainring onto the aluminum crankset, which means you can change out the size of that chainring very easily and pretty inexpensively. Controlling that SX group set is going to be an SX shifter. So with the SX shifter here, your thumb button brings you to an easier gear, and then up front you've got another thumb button to go to a harder gear. And that's connecting just below the Shimano hydraulic disc brakes. MT200 brakes, mineral oil, and they go down to 160 millimeter rotors front and rear with 2-piston hydraulic calipers. Cockpit-wise, we've got some nice aluminum parts. So we'll start off with a nice wide aluminum Bontrager handlebar that connects up to their blender stem. So as you can see on this, Trek is running nice short stems, 4-bolt compatible, but the magic with blender is it gives a spot right in the top where you can insert an attachment for lights, cell phone mounts, or even GPSs, keeping the handlebar super clean. And then it goes back to this Bontrager Arvada saddle that's going to be mounted up on a 2-bolt seat post. So 2-bolt seat post means just under here to set up the angle to it. You can see you've got 1 and 2 bolts, which makes it a little bit easier to adjust. It's aluminum going into a 31.6 seat tube diameter. And one thing I really love on the bike is it does come factory with lock-ons. So this is a single-sided lock-on, meaning there's 1 bolt there. The nicest of these grips will have another one on the other end, but this is going to help keep it from having any rotation issues and having lots of grip while you're riding. Moving to the wheel and tire setup, this is going to be a tubeless ready Marlin. Now it's going to come with tubes pre-installed, but with some tape as well as some tubeless sealant, you can get this set up. And because of its sporting intentions and ability to ride all over, Maxxis Ardent race tires are installed in a 27.5 by 2.35 size. Now remember, this is a size small, so if you've got medium or larger, that tire is going to be the same, but in a 29er. And it's coming with the EXO protection and the tubeless ready casing. And the wheel set itself is going to be Bontrager's Covey TLR rim. These are an internal width of 23 millimeters. They're laced up 28 holes, both in the front and the rear. And like I said before, pretty cheap and easy. You can add tubeless valve stems, tape, and sealant to get this thing both a bit lighter as well as rolling faster. The actual weight of the Trek Marlin 8 is going to come in and weigh 29.98 pounds. Thanks for watching this video on the 2022 Trek Marlin 8. Go ahead and let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. While you're at it, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to browse the channel and check out other bikes like this to check out as well.